Hello, welcome to part two of the live that I began earlier this morning. So if you haven't seen part one, basically, I was about, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes into my Facebook Live and my dad drove up outside and bless him, he lives about an hour and a half away. So I didn't want to leave him hanging. I knew that he was coming, so it wasn't that he was completely unexpected, but I was expecting him about half an hour later. There we go. As I said then, I'll say it again now, the joys of Facebook Live. But hopefully we will be relatively uninterrupted this time. My little boy Jacob is now back from his week-long school trip, so I've got him in the room with me, but he's headphones on, busily ensconced watching YouTube videos. So he may or may not make noise in the background, but we'll see. Sorry, I'm being distracted by some loose hair. There we go. Okay, so if you missed part one of this video, essentially what I'm talking about is always being busy and never being productive. And this morning I was chatting mainly about kind of what that looks like in your business, and this whole kind of, constantly feeling like you're in catch-up mode, constantly feeling like you don't have enough time, always looking for like productivity hacks and stuff like that. And I talked about how that idea of productivity can sometimes be a bit of a trap. And this is a concept that I got from a fab book called Clockwork by a guy called Mike Michalowicz. And basically what he was saying, which I think is a really good point, is actually by chasing productivity, what you're doing is you're trying to find more time, and as soon as you find more time, you actually create more work to fill that time, and so it can be a bit of a trap to fall into. The more productive you get, the more work you create for yourself, and you never actually feel like you have enough time. So it's kind of this sort of constant cycle. So that's kind of what it is I'm talking about today. It's something I have absolutely suffered from myself, and it's something that I think an awful lot of people are experiencing in their own businesses, especially when you're just getting started, because actually when you're just getting started in your new business, that's probably when it is the most overwhelming. You're not entirely sure what you should be doing, so you're trying all sorts of things. You've got all these different voices online telling you you should be doing this, that, and the other, and you haven't yet found a strategy that works for you, and so on and so forth. So actually, a lot of the people that I work with are kind of experiencing this kind of issue in their business. Cup of tea, nice cup of tea. Right, let me, before I go any further, actually share this into my Facebook group. Actually, it'll be interesting to see having this enforced later time to go live because of my unexpected early dad this morning. It'll be interesting to see if I get more people showing up live, because actually in the mornings I haven't been having many people showing up live, and I don't know if that's a timing thing and whether actually it's easier in the afternoon for people, or whether maybe even the evenings. Okay, so that's shared over into my group. Right, so to continue, basically my plan was to now kind of dive into why this happens. Why is it that you find yourself, no matter how much you try to find more time to work in your business, no matter how much you try to be more productive, you're always in this kind of busy mode, catch up, never quite managing to get what you want done. Or even if you are getting what you want done, it doesn't seem to be having the impact that you were hoping. So you kind of, you're ticking off lots of things off your to-do list, but you aren't necessarily seeing the results to reflect all that work. So this is kind of the issue that I'm talking about right now. So why does this happen? And I've said this every single day, and I shall say it again. If you have watched my other videos, my other Facebook Lives from each day this week, you will absolutely see a theme running through this part of each one, because the why is the same every single time. So the why is you are trying to do too much. If you're struggling to fit everything in, then chances are it's because you're trying to fit in too much. Now, this is something that I took a long time to get in my business. And I was kind of the opinion that if something wasn't working, I'd better add more things in. I would see a strategy working for someone else, and so I think, oh well, I better start doing that then, and so I'd add that into the mix. And then I still didn't really get the results, so then I saw another strategy that someone else was doing that seemed to be working for them, so I would add that into the mix, and so I was getting busier and busier and busier, but it just didn't seem to be having the effect that I hoped it would. So I was doing too much, and I was overwhelmed, and I wasn't able to put the kind of quality in because I was focusing on too much quantity of things to do. Okay, so that's reason number one is if you haven't got time to do everything and you're always busy, always playing catch up, it's because you're doing too much. Okay. The second reason is because you don't have a strategy. And so this all comes down to if you have a strategy, you can actually map that out against the time that you have. If you know that you only have 4 hours a day or an hour a day, then you can create a strategy that allows for you to only work in that time, and you can kind of plan around that. You can also do things like planning contingency time. So if things go wrong, if things crop up in your day-to-day life, you can you've built in time that will allow for that and mean that you're not constantly falling behind and kind of scraping to catch up. And then also lack of planning. If you oftentimes the reason that we're busy is because we haven't actually planned out ahead what it is we need to do and why we're going to do it. So when you have a strategy, and I've talked about this every single day, you've kind of got a point A, this is where I am now, a point B, this is where I want to be, and then a kind of strategy for how you're going to get there. And if you don't have that, what happens is you just sit down and become kind of submerged in the busy work. It's kind of like, right, I ought to be writing a blog post. I ought to be posting on social media. I better go and check my emails. And you just kind of get caught up in the sort of day-to-day admin-y busy work, but none of it is actually strategic. None of it is leading you anywhere. And often a lot of what you're doing isn't aligned with each other. So you might be writing a blog post about one thing and social media posts about something else. And none of it feels aligned. None of it feels like it's kind of connected or strategic, because it isn't. That's really how you solve this problem, and it's how you solve, as I say, each of the problems that I've talked about in each of my Facebook Lives this week. So if you haven't seen them, just to recap, we've had the first one was about always starting new projects but never finishing them. The second one was creating content for content's sake. The third one was disappearing online and kind of vanishing for days, weeks, or months on end. Yesterday I was talking about not measuring anything, so actually not having any strategic metrics in place to tell you, if you're on the right track, if you're staying on the right path, and if you're not, what you can do about it. And then obviously today, always being busy but not productive. So I hope you found this interesting. I hope you found it helpful. More importantly, I'd love to know which of those different issues you've experienced in your own business. Perhaps all of them, perhaps just one or two. I'd love to know. So do let me know if you're watching this in the replay. And lastly, of course, the reason that I've been going live every day this week is to not only chat about these issues, but also to tell you about the workshop that I'm running next Wednesday. That's the 26th of September at 6:30 p.m. BST, that's British Standard Time. And in the workshop, you will learn the three kind of biggest mistakes that you could be making in your business right now. The reason that the strategies that you're trying at the moment don't seem to work. And also my own 4-step framework to grow your business and replace your 9-to-5 income by working less. So if you have been watching my lives this week, you'll see that that is the theme. That actually what I have discovered in my own business is that in order to get more results in my business, I actually had to cut down what I was doing. I had to simplify, and I had to start doing less. Oh no, what a problem, hey? So I want to share exactly everything I've learned and everything I've now put into practice in my own business that has allowed me to work less, to stop creating content for content's sake, starting all the new projects and never finishing them, always being busy but never productive, and all of that stuff, and actually allowed me to have a business that now feels light, it feels free, and I'm starting to get those results at last. And it's made such a huge difference. So I can't wait to share this framework with everyone at the workshop, which, as I say, is next Wednesday. Now, if you can't make it live, you will get a replay as long as you've registered. So I will pop the link in the comments so that you can register, and I hope to see you there. If you have any questions, give me a shout, and I will leave it there. I wish you a very happy Friday, very happy weekend, and take care. Speak to you soon.